All right, the time has come. The time has come to set up our Visual Studio SDL integration. Get a Hello SDL window opening, and get all that linking done, get all that including done, get those DLLs copied to the right place. There's a lot to do, right? This first big homework 5, this first big SDL assignment, it can take a while to get everything finished and working properly. And certainly it's taken me a long time to get a feel for how to do this all. And so if you are struggling with it, if you're moving a bit slowly, that is a very common thing. Do not feel bad about that at all. And let's show you how to do it, okay? And just to relax everyone, I got some wonderful music from Pikmin going to accompany us as we do this, okay? And we're recording. Let's rock and roll. So let's go ahead and let's look at the assignment spec here. So we have a lot of great little dependencies here, quite a few of them. One thing I recently added was this little video that actually gives you a look at what my kind of preferred structure of my project is like. This is the top level of my repo for my game engine. You can see here I have game engine.solution file. I have a .bc project file, and my dependencies are just kind of chilling out here on the root. Not everyone's going to like that, but we do keep things a little bit clean with our source folder right here. But you can put all these things in a third-party folder if you want to. You'll just have to adjust some of your include paths, your library paths, if you decide to do that, okay? Within each of these dependency folders, we have, first of all, a ton of includes, okay? This is where all the .h files go. And then just a little bit beyond that lib folder, you're going to find things like your DLL files. You're going to find things like your .lib files, your static libraries. That's also where I would put framework folders if this were on Mac, but it is not. All right, let's go ahead and let's create that project, huh? Create a new project. Now they kind of bury the empty project down here, which is a little bit funny. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. And make sure you check this checkbox right here. It just makes things a little bit easier. Let's call this Game Engine. Okay, that's already taken. So let's call this, for now, Game Engine 2. Okay. Now you're going to want to name yours Game Engine without a 2. Otherwise, the autograder is going to be very sad. Okay. So make sure you do Game Engine. We'll go ahead and create this project. Okay. And before I really, start doing anything, I like to grab my dependencies and kind of figure out where they're going to be on my in my repo. Okay. I can right-click on the project name and open in Explorer, and this is the top level of my repo. This is basically what the autograder would see. It's going to clone down your repo, looks inside that folder, and here's what it sees. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder for each of my dependencies. First big dependency we got is SDL itself, big one. All right. Next one we got is SDL. Let's do image. Okay. We also, for this assignment, have SDL2 mixer. And then the last big one we're going to have is SDL2 TTF, true type font. Now, the good news about this assignment, homework 5, it's tough, but we won't need a ton of new dependencies for quite a while until we get to homework 7, at which point we're going to need Lua, okay? But that's not too bad. We'll add that a bit later, okay? What we should do now is we should actually go download those things, because I haven't downloaded it. Let's go ahead and grab SDL first, the big one, and this is the version that we need. And here, this is actually a little bit tough. Depending on the platform you're on, you're going to have to make a good choice here. If you're on Mac, you're going to want that .dmg, okay? That's going to have the framework file that you're going to want. If you're on Linux, you might grab something like the normal zip file. And if we're looking for Visual Studio, got that VC, Visual C compiler. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. I'm going to click and open that file up. Now, I could just drag this into my repo, but I don't really want to do that. Because you see, once you look into this folder, look at all this weird business going on. Okay, we got CMake stuff. We don't use CMake in this course until the very end of the course. We got documentation I don't really want. We got all these text files. We don't want that stuff, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of go in here. I want all this good stuff, okay? Include files. Let's go ahead and grab these right here. I'm going to copy these and let's see here. And I'm going to go into my SDL2 folder and I'm just going to dump them right in, okay? So there you go. This is going to be pretty nice for us a little bit later, as we will see. But we need to grab these libraries as well. By the way, we don't care about x86 libraries. That's like 32-bit stuff. And 32-bit stuff, just really old these days. Pretty much everything's 64-bit, so we're going to go in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create ourselves a nice little lib folder. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to throw all these in. I'm not going to grab test, though, because I don't think we care too much about that. There we go. We got ourselves a nice little SDL2 folder right next to our game engine project, and it's looking good, okay? We need SDL2 image stuff, though, now, so let's go ahead and grab that. The Pikmin music is keeping our spirits up as we fight the good fight. So let's go ahead. Here we are. Again, because we're on Visual Studio and we are on Windows, we're going to grab that VC folder. Now we got this right here. Let's go bring up our other folder right there. So let's go ahead and ignore everything in here except those header files. And we only have one this time, so that's pretty nice. Let's go in and create a little lib folder for us. And here's something to know. You can really, you can get this all done doing all sorts of different file structures, different folder structures, okay? You do not need to do what we are doing here exactly, but it's going to make a couple things, a little bit easy for us. Though there are probably better ways to do it than this, too. All right, we're done with SDL2 image. Let's go into Mixer. We got to go grab that Mixer stuff from GitHub. And let's go and grab the VC, okay? Just click that. We've opened up the zip. We're in there now. And where's our folder? There it is, okay. Grab that header file, create our little library, lib, just kind of keep the header file separate. Go 64, boop, just like that. We'll put them right in, okay? And now we're done. We're done with Mixer. So this is going pretty quick, though of course we need to one day use them. And that's going to require a little bit more programming, a little bit more setup. Anyway, next we need that SDLTTF. So let's go ahead and grab that. Okay, SDLTTF, we got it right here. And we're going to download right here. Click. Okay, and we can bring it over right like this. Got the H file and got the lib file, 64 stuff. Should probably grab the license stuff too. So we'll bring it in right here. Actually, no, we don't want to do that. We want to put that stuff into that lib folder, okay? I've actually, I forgot that when I was doing the test run for this. So we now have all of our folders and dependencies kind of decked out here, okay? And when we go back, we need to start using those. So let's do first things first. Let's go in and let's go ahead and right-click, add a new item. Let's add ourselves a main file, okay? And let's go and print something just to make sure it's all coming to life. Don't forget that, what is it? Int argc, and then char star argv. Okay, I forget that all the time, because once you write a main file, that's kind of it until you write your next program, right? The main file just kind of hangs out there and works. It's pretty nice. SDD, let's do a quick cout. Let's go hello SDL. And there we go, okay. Do a quick save, let's do a quick run here and see if we get a message, okay. All right, good stuff. So, what we'd like to do now is we'd actually like to include that SDL.h header. And that's going to allow us to create that window, right? We know things are getting good when we can start to type and see SDL functions showing up. And so that is what we're going to aim for. Let's go include SDL, and hey, it just pops up. Isn't that cool? It's popping up because by default, one of your include paths is going to be the same path that the solution file and your VCX project file are in. So when I start typing SDL, well, it sees right here that there are several SDL folders we could choose from. So this path is going to be valid. And so let's go ahead and just do that. SDL2, let's see if we can get code completion going here. There we go. SDL2, and then we want that SDL.h, and that's going to get us all sorts of good stuff, okay? Let's go SDL window, because that's the type we want. This is going to be our handler. We'll just call this window. Now we're going to create that window. Let's go SDL create window. There it is. Okay. On our options, let's go hello SDL. Okay. And then we're going to give it something. I think we can actually center it if we want to, but I don't remember exactly what value you have to give it. I'm just going to give it 100, 100. Okay. In terms of width and height, why don't we give it 640 by 360? I think this is what a lot of your test cases use. Okay. Now this last one, you see this last parameter, the flags here, this one can get you, okay? You do have to be a little bit careful. You want to, in particular, give, I think, a shown value here. Is there a shown value? SDL window shown? Bingo. If you forget to put this in here, then you're going to get a window, but it's not going to actually be a visible window, which seems a little bit not so useful to me, okay? So we've got our window here, and I'll just quickly create a quick loop so the program doesn't end too quickly. Let's go SDL delay, 16 milliseconds for a 60 FPS game. Let's go ahead and run this. We've written enough code. Let's run it and see what happens, okay? Okay, we've got errors, and that's because we haven't set some things up, okay? We have found the signatures, the declarations for functions like SDL create window, all those good functions. But when we go to build it, we can't really link, okay? The linker is not happy with us. It can't find where the actual implementations of those functions are, okay? And so what we can do here is we can go in and we need to tell Visual Studio what libraries we want to use and then where to find them, okay? And we're gonna do both. Actually, we're going to do one of those, and then we're going to solve the other problem, okay? Let's go to linker, all right? And let's say, hey, you got to go find some libraries for us, all right? Okay, so what libraries should we find? Well, when we look at our project here, right, we're just starting our search right here. Let's see, we want, if we go into, there we go, if we go into SDL2, we want this static library file. So these static libraries are going to be linked in during compile time. And the DLLs that you see here hanging out are actually going to be looked for by the program when we start running. And so right now we're just going to deal with the static libs. And so there we go. SDL2.lib, that's one that we want, but we actually could use a few more as well. All right. Because there are other libraries in our other dependencies that we might care about. So this is one of them, SDL2image.lib. Let's try that one. And then, if you see, there are also a couple other ones. There's SDL2mixer, and we can just kind of grab the name right there. And we got one more. Okay, and let's go find it real quick, SDL2 let's go ahead in and grab that lib right there. Now, if I recall, I think we actually have a couple more that I missed earlier. If we go into SDL2 proper, yep, there's actually one more, SDL2main.lib, which I believe we're also going to want. Okay, and let's see what happens, okay? Hopefully the error message will change. All right, so now we've told our compiler that we want to, hey, use these libraries. They're going to have good stuff for you, okay? Now, one issue we run into immediately is, okay, you asked us to go use the SDL2.lib, but we couldn't find it. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, what we can do is we can tell the compiler where to find these libs. And for that, we go to VC++ directories. Let's go to library directories. These are libraries that we're dealing with after all. And let's look at the path right now. If we wanted to find this SDL2 lib library, then the path we would have to walk, starting at our solution, starting at our project, we're going to have to go SDL2, okay, lib, and then it should find it. All right, so this is the part of the path that we really want to put in here and make sure the compiler knows about. To keep our paths relative, we can use that project dir kind of macro, okay? We can tell it to go look at SDL2 and then look in the lib folder in particular, okay? And when I press enter, we're going to see that, hey, we got this new place that we're going to be looking. The compiler is going to look for our libraries at. So this is fantastic. And because we set up all our other dependencies in the same way, we can kind of just copy and paste, can't we? So let's go ahead and do mixer here. We're also going to have the image, and we're also going to have that TTF library as well, okay? TTF, okay. So let's go ahead and click OK and see what happens. Ba-ba-ba. And look at that, we started running. And that's pretty good, okay? That is a good start. But we do need to actually see a window here. And you can see we actually got blown up, okay? We have our compiling working, so we're including our headers all right, and we're including and linking against our static libraries, but now our dynamic ones are all messed up, okay? We can't find that DLL. Now we can do a fun little experiment here. We could, and we could go look, well, where does our executable end up? Our executable is going to end up in here, x64 debug, okay? You can find our application hanging out right here, okay? You know what I just realized? That I accidentally put all of this into debug, which isn't the end of the world, but one thing you really need to remember is the autograder is going to run this all in release mode, okay? And so make sure that you change to release and you kind of fix up all the settings there as well, okay? That'll allow you to run an autograder and link up all right, and it'll be all good, okay? By the way, when you switch to release mode, it'll actually change the properties you're using. And so you'll need to go in and you'll need to update your properties again, you know, tell it what to link against, tell it where to look, and all that fun stuff, okay? So our problem right now is that we have our DLLs that we're going to need to use, like SDL2.dll. But we got it in the wrong place, if you think about it. Let's go in here real quick. Is that the one? Now let's find our folder again. Right, our DLLs are in these folder branches, and we really kind of want them to be in our x64 debug folder. Now, in truth, we want it to be in our release folder because we would ideally be using the release configuration. But what we can do is we can run a console command that's going to copy our DLLs to the right place. The first thing I want to do is I want to create a DLL folder. Okay, let's call this the DLLs folder. And let's go in, and I'm going to actually grab those DLLs, and I'm going to kind of pull them right out. Okay. So I'm going to put them right in here. We got one of them, okay? Let's go in and grab the others, okay? Here's another one. Right there, okay? We're just collecting all of our DLLs right now, and this will make our command that we're going to write just a little bit easier. Okay, in we go. And we got one more that we need, okay? Grabbing all our DLLs, and we're just bringing it to that top level DLLs folder. Okay, there we go. And now what we really want is we want to copy all these after we're done building into that x86 folder. And here's how we're going to do it, okay? Let's go back into our Visual Studio, go to Properties. We can go to the build events, and in particular, the post-build events. These are going to happen after we're done building. And that's when we want to go in and we want to copy those DLLs, okay? We can accomplish this via a copy command. And let's go ahead and let's try the, I think DLLs folder. Is that going to be good? And we'll give it a little wildcard there to say basically grab everything, copy everything in that folder. Now we can use another powerful macro called the out dir. Okay, out directory is going to, whatever it is, it's going to make it the place where our executable gets put, okay? So this is saying, hey, copy all of the DLLs to that directory where our executable is going to be, okay? And that's exactly what we're going to want. We're going to click apply, we're going to hit OK, we're going to go ahead and run and see what happens, all right? And look at that. We have our SDL window popping up, okay? Now, I can't move it. I can't do a whole lot, all right? So we got a few things we're going to need to do, all right? Now, in the actual Homework 5 assignment, you'll be making function calls. It explains what you need to do. You'll be making calls to something like helper, SDL, render, present, 498, and you will be using something called, SDL, or it's actually going to be helper, SDL poll event, 498, okay? And so basically you're just going to read the assignment spec, you're going to use the functions it tells you to. For now, though, I'm going to use the SDL version of those functions, okay? So let's go ahead and let's say we want to maybe render something. Well, we have a window, but we're going to need to render into that window. So let's go ahead and let's go and create an SDL render handler. Let's call this renderer, okay? SDL create render. And it's going to take a window. It's also going to take an index, and this is where autocomplete is really nice. It tells us what that index can be. And it just says -1 for like a nice default value. That's good. And then flags, the assignment spec will tell you which ones to use, but for now we're just going to choose 0. Nothing special. We just want a normal render, okay? Now, inside of our loop, we have to, if we want to prevent us from freezing, when we get the window going, we need to consume events from our event queue, from the SDL event queue. So we're going to create an SDL event object. We're going to call this E. And then while SDL poll event is returning 1 or true, AKA while there's still events, we're going to send in a reference to our SDL event, okay? And this is basically going to empty /consume all the events in the event queue. And this will kind of bring the window to life, okay? When we're done with our rendering and all that good stuff, we can show our renders. We should probably render something, shouldn't we? SDL, can we render draw? Can I draw a point here? Yeah, let's do it, okay? A render, and then where do we want to draw that point? Let's draw the point at kind of the top left corner, maybe. Okay, so how about 10, 10, okay? And then what we can do is we can present that render. So SDL render present, okay? Gonna flip the double buffer, and this is what should cause our user to actually see the thing, okay? So let's go ahead and see how it goes. All right, we've written a lot of code, so make sure you write a tiny amount of code before doing stuff. Now, we can't see any pixel here. Part of that is because we're rendering with the black color, and we're also clearing with the black color, and so the pixel can't be seen. So I think SDL render color, maybe? Is there a color, set color function, maybe? Let's see here. SDL color, I think, what was it? It was in the lecture. I forget what it was called, though. Let's go to the lecture we just had, and let's grab that really quickly. This isn't super important. We're just kind of showing you some demo stuff. You're probably going to use an image, load up an image more likely. You'll use image load texture, you'll load up an image, and then you'll do SDL render copy for that image. What do we got here? Set render draw color. Okay, there you go. Bingo. Set render draw color. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. SDL set render draw color. Okay, what kind of color? Let's go. Let's just go a white dot on a black background. So 255, 255, 255, 255. And then we need to make sure the background is going to be cleared and set properly. So let's go ahead and let's, what is it going to be? SDL render clear, I think. SDL render clear. Bingo. Very good. And we need to actually set the color, the clear color, as well for that. So let's set this to black here. Okay, and let's see what happens. Look at that tiny little dot. Oh, isn't it cute? If the compression is too much on this video, you might not be able to see it, but it's there. You'll notice when I press X to quit, we're not actually quitting the program, which makes everything feel just a little bit broken, doesn't it? So what we can do within this poll event loop is we can actually check out what E is. So every time we call poll event, E becomes basically takes on all the data of the next event in the queue and pops that event off the queue. We can check what the type is, and if the type is SDL quit, then we are pretty much finished with the program. This quit will come when you click that X, and we can actually exit out the program right then and there. Okay, let's make sure that works. And so we got our little dot. We're going to say goodbye to the dot. See ya. And there we go. All right. And so we got the basics of an SDL render loop going on here. We're rendering a pixel. We are able to quit and process events. We've gotten all of the dependencies in there. We got DLLs being copied. We got static libraries being linked. And we have header files that are functional as well. Okay. Now, one thing that could happen, I want to show you this right here. Let's say that we want to do something like load a texture, okay? We want to do image load, okay? First of all, this image load is a part of the SDL2 image library, so we need to go ahead and include that. Let's do SDL2 image, and then let's grab that header file. Now we have our image load function, but we actually want something else. We want to load texture, okay? We can send in that render, as you can see, okay? And then we can grab our file, whatever its name, okay? So it might be something like resources, you know, images, hello.png, all right? Something like that, probably, in your actual assignment. So this is going to return to us an SDL texture star, texture pointer. So we'll just call this texture, okay? Let's say we want to print something like that. Well, what we'd probably do, render it, we'd probably do render copy, and then we can give it the render, we can give it the texture, and then we create some SDL-rect objects to determine kind of where we want to go. For the source, we would just make that null, so it grabs the entire texture, and the destination rect, we'd move it around, we might scale it differently, whatever you want to do, okay? Forget about that for now, okay? What's going to happen is when we try and run this, I think something's going to go wrong, okay? So let's run this, see what happens. There are build errors, so what can the errors be? Well, this is very frustrating. I thought we included everything correctly, didn't we? Well, you see, these errors aren't coming from our code that we wrote. It's coming from a library that we imported, our include files. You see this? SDL image, right? How do we deal with this? Well, when you see this kind of thing happening in a library's code, we don't want to go in and change all these paths manually because there are way too many files to do that. So here's what we're going to do, right? Right now, when this include statement runs, here's what's happening. The compiler, the preprocessor, goes to the root of our project, and this is where it searches for that SDL2.h folder. Unfortunately, the SDL2.h folder isn't here. It doesn't find it. It's actually hidden in the subfolder. That's where it is, right there. You see it? And so what we have to do here is we have to tell the preprocessor, hey, don't just look in here, but also look in here, okay? SDL2. And that's what we're going to do, all right? Let's go into properties, and we're going to know when this works because the include little squigglies will go away. Let's go to Visual C++ directories, and we can see include directories here. We're going to go in and edit these. You see it already has a ton of defaults going on, but I'm going to add another one. Let's go project dir, and then let's go SDL2. Now notice on Mac, I'm pretty sure you need to put a slash here, but on Windows, you don't. Also on Mac, you can't do project dir like this. You have to do, I think, project _ dir like that. What? I wish they would get together and figure out what they want here, okay? So let's try that. You can see now that it's going to look in that folder for our header files now. So apply, and let's cross our fingers and look at that. There we go, okay? And so we no longer have errors. It's able to find those files, and we can run again. And I'm not going to do it here, but now you should be able to use this texture if this image is valid, if it's actually there. You can use that texture in render copy to render the image to the screen, to the window. Note, in this instance, this texture is going to be null. It's going to be null pointer because it's not going to find anything. I think that's how this function works, doesn't it? Yeah, it's going to return null if it errors out. Can't find the texture. Anyway, right, this has been kind of involved, all right? But I hope as time goes on, number one, I hope you could do this on double speed. But as time goes on and you get a little bit more experienced, notice that we fixed things in a reactive way. It's very hard to set this stuff up from the beginning and just have it all work. You have to kind of roll with the punches. You have to kind of let the error messages come to you and then determine, okay, what does it want? What does it want, and can we fix it? Okay? And then, once you get good at that, you'll find that integrating cool things into your project ain't that bad. Okay? All right, everyone. I know it's been challenging. This is never the fun part of the homeworks, but I hope you hang in there and do the best you can. And I hope this really gets you to the fun part faster. Okay? Good luck, everyone. And please come to office hours. We can usually help people diagnose these issues, even if your folder structure is different. If you took a different path with, how you want to move and place your dependencies around, maybe put it into a third-party folder. Well, you just need to change some of the steps that we just did, just a tiny bit, okay? Good luck, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.